What's up everybody, it's Gomlet, and today I'll be playing a Pauper Event on Magic Arena here since it has just returned to the platform. So today I'll be playing a white-blue Auras build. Basically the game plan is to drop a Arcane Flight or a One with the Wind on one of our 2-drops. We have 8 copies of a 2-mana 2/2 lifelink and 4 copies of a 2-mana 2/2 vigilance. There is a second version of a 2-mana 2/2 vigilance if you want 8 of those in here for whatever reason you prefer vigilance to lifelink, then go for it. We also have 4 Healer's Hawk. Healer's Hawk is definitely not as good to put an Arcane Flight or a One with the Wind on, but Healer's Hawk is still okay with a One with the Wind on it, just for the +2/+2. People are just straight up playing Knight's Pledge just to throw on Healer's Hawk anyway, so One with the Wind does basically the same thing, but it also gives flying for these other creatures here. We have 6 removal spells. We have 2 Luminous Bonds and 4 Law Mage's Binding, and then we have 4 copies of Arrester's Admonition just to temporarily get things out of the way and let us draw a card. Just because I don't feel like we need a million removal spells in this deck. Because we are trying to just kill them pretty quickly with evasive, like, just flying threats. So the only thing we really need to deal with are creatures with reach and flying. We also have 4 copies of Dive Down to stop our opponents from using removal spells on our creatures. Because if we just cast an aura onto one of their creatures and they just kill it, that is a really bad situation. Because they got to just deal with 2 of our cards for the price of 1. And then we have 2 copies of Spell Pierce for basically the same reason, but it can also counter opposing auras or other kind of non-creature stuff they might be playing. So anyways, let's hop into the event here and see how good this deck does. I really don't know how well it'll do. I am not particularly good at constructed formats, and Standard Pauper is not one I've really played at all. It's like the one I've played the least out of every format. So, yeah, this hand's a little bit awkward. We definitely need to draw an island to do much of anything here, but we do have the Bishop Soldier, so I'm just keeping it because the potential of the hand being worse is, like, pretty high. Like, it's possible to just draw, like, a 1-lander after this, and then if I mold a 5, the game's just over. I'm really just all in on drawing an island here. I'm gonna go ahead and attack here just to gain some life. So opponent has double Druid of the Cowl, so I'm definitely happy that I've got double Law Mage's Binding in this hand, because they're going to be able to cast gigantic creatures like Colossal Dreadmaws very soon here. So we'll go ahead and suit up the Bishop Soldier because mono green tends to just have like Rabid Bites for removal. I don't think that they'll main deck Plummet, just because if you're playing against another green deck or something like that, it just doesn't do anything, but they might. So we might get plummeted here. I definitely hope not. Definitely hope that they're just running Rabid Bites and Hunt the Weaks as removal. So Mammoth Spider. I think we're going to Arrester's Admonition that, unless we draw something that we really want to play this turn. Yeah, we're definitely going to Arrester's Admonition that, because we don't need to deal with it permanently, like immediately. We definitely want to draw a card here, so that we can put some more creatures on this board is what we're hoping for, and we did draw into a Sun Sentinel. So yeah, next turn we'll probably just throw the Law Mage's Binding on the Mammoth Spider. If we happen to draw another land, we can also cast our Sun Sentinel out here. So opponent drops the Mammoth Spider. Alright, and we drew the land, so we get to Sun Sentinel and Law Mage's Binding. So that's very nice. Now we hit him for 4. Next turn we can attack for 7 in the air, because we can cast a Arcane Flight on our Sun Sentinel. So it is not quite lethal next turn, but it's getting close. So opponent does drop a gigantic 7/6 Primordial Worm, but we have gained a lot of life off of the Bishop Soldier. So we are fine to just keep going all in here. I don't even think that we cast Law Mage's Binding on the worm, we just save it for a potential reach or flying creature next turn. Because they could survive if they, like, cast Rabid Bite and then cast a reach creature or something. Ooh, Arbor Armament is pretty good for our opponents. Definitely really unfortunate that we did not have a second island at any point here. I do only run 2 less islands than planes in this deck, so statistically we would have a second island by now, but not this game. So, kind of unlucky there. If we had the second island, we could literally just Law Mage's Binding Primordial Worm in response to that, and just get them. So, yeah, I think we still win. We are going to take a lot of damage next turn, but now we have a Dive Down and Law Mage's Binding mana saved up. So, that is not lethal. So, no blocks. Down to 9. Alright. Well, that was a close game 1. The Arbor Armament was definitely very good for our opponent. But we still got there just barely. So let's see if we can repeat that in game 2 here. Yet again, really awkward hand mana-wise, but I am still gonna keep it. This whole video is just gonna be me keeping the worst hands, because that's usually what I do. But we immediately draw the island here, so that's very nice. Definitely want to draw a Dive Down very soon, because we are against red. So we really do not want to get caught with our pants down with a bunch of creatures with auras on them that can just easily be shot down. Luckily, a Mesa Unicorn with a 1 with the Wind will have 4 toughness, so they'll have to spend 2 spells to kill it, but I still would really rather that they don't, so would really like to draw a Dive Down. And they just have a Shivan Fire right now anyway, and they're to get that out of the way before we even put an aura on it. So, skewering us. This is not a great draw. There are a lot of creatures in here. I guess we have drawn 2 creatures. Like, returning Lava Runner doesn't actually slow them down at all, and neither does casting... I guess casting Admonition on Pyromancer slows them down a little bit more, because they have to spend 2 mana instead of 1 mana, but, like, neither of them aren't gonna damage me next turn if I Admonition them. Because Pyromancer will just come back out and do 2 to my face, and Lava Runner will just have haste, so... Alright, Law Mage's Binding's not terrible here. So there's Pyromancer. We probably are going to just Law Mage's Binding the 2/2 and try to get in a position where we can block Pyromancer with our Hawk, but we probably just have a shock for it at this point. I don't think I'm going to Admonition here. I think I'm just going to Law Mage's Binding. Like, we could 1 with the Wind Healer's Hawk, but then if they have Skewer the Critics, that's so bad. Just don't have a Dive Down backup. Even if we did, we don't have the second island. So I could Law Mage's Binding that, or I could just Admonition it next turn. I could also Admonition it right now. And then I just don't draw the card. It might be worth it. Just save as much life as possible here. So we're just not going to draw the card, we'll just take 2 here. Skewer the critics on my face. So they do have the skewer. So we cast Mesa Unicorn. Now we have the Law Mage's Binding mana up. We're going to cast that on the Get to Lava Runner. I could also just cast One with the Wind on the Unicorn. Opponent's giving us the preemptive GG. They could have Shock into Skewer. Shivan Fire the Unicorn. Cast Pyromancer. Binding Lava Runner. Down to 3. And we have Luminous Bonds. Luminous Bonds, Pyromancer. Hawk into a 3/3 and really hope not to get skewered. We'll see what they have here for sure. Another Pyromancer. It's a bit of a problem. How all in are we at this point? Do we actually just toss Arcane Flight on the Healer's Hawk so it's slightly harder to kill? I don't think that we should do that. I think we want to draw into any creature and put an Arcane Flight on whatever we draw. I think we have to attack here to keep the pressure on. Because if we don't attack, then we're going to end up blocking Pyromancer and they're just going to have a single shock and kill our Hawk. Whereas if they have a single shock and they attack us, then they can hit us down to 3, but that's still fine. Okay, Pyromantic Pilgrim, 3/1 haste. We're down to 2. It's another land. That is absolutely not what I need right now. This is a lot of lands for a 20-land deck. But we'll deal with it. God, I think we have to just Arcane Flight. God, we're just dead to shock no matter what. Because if I cast Arcane Flight on Hawk and save it to block the 3/1, we just die to a shock before anything. And if I put Arcane Flight on the Healer's Hawk and then attack and go to 6, then we just die to shock after the attack. This is just like choosing when we want to die to shock here. So we will choose before combat. Shivan Fire the Healer's Hawk, so we trade. Go to 4. See if I can draw anything. No. Not quite dead on board yet. So we might get another turn here. Drawn to a creature. Nope, that is dead on board. Don't really know what took them so long to figure that out, but but that is dead. Alright, so that is 1 win and 1 loss. We got outpaced by the red deck, even with all our life gain stuff, so that is unfortunate. I think this is the best hand that we've drawn so far. By a pretty large margin. Like, we don't have any auras to throw on these guys, but you want to draw the creatures before the auras anyway. So it looks like we're just playing against another red deck. Let's see if we can outpace this one. I'm going to play the Vigilance creature first. That way when I play Bishop Soldier, I have Dive Down backup to try to save it from whatever they use to kill it. Kinda sucks they're on the play as well, so they just have every advantage that they could have in terms of the speed of their deck. Definitely just shooting a Sun Sentinel here. Yep, shock on the Sun Sentinel. Another Pyromancer. Down to 12. Do have an Arcane Flight. Kind of actually just want a Sun Sentinel here. Because the thing is, they could force a really bad block. If they're a really good player, then I think the best play for them is to actually just attack with everybody. Allow a block to resolve, and if I cast a Dive Down, then respond with Shock. But like, yeah, because they can see I have the blue mana up. I guess they don't have that much information, so they wouldn't really know if I'm the kind of deck that would run Dive Down, but I mean, I am white and blue, I have one blue up. They are very good at figuring things out. It looks like they are not omnipotent. They did not know that I had a Dive Down. So that worked pretty well. That basically just got to counter their attacks this turn, since they tried to active choose my Sun Sentinel. So that's pretty nice. So I can play a Healer's Hawk and Law Mage is binding one of their creatures. I can play a Healer's Hawk and Bishop Soldier with an Arcane Flight. I think I'm just gonna do that. My Dive Down's been used at this point, so we're just all in. And hope they don't have a Skewer left over. They probably do. They've only used a Shock and an active treason. So Frilled Death Spitter. So no Skewer yet. At least. Okay then. If I block like this, I just straight up lose everything if they have a Shock. And then they're left with a Death Spitter that I Law Mage is binding, and then we're both just playing off the top. I think I just save Bishop Soldier back. Kill the other two here. And then if they have Skewer, this is just really bad. But I have to just hope that they don't have Skewer, because I'm not winning if they do. Yeah, they've got Skewer. Well, it was an event. I was gonna say it's been a fun event, but I'm just getting demolished by Mono Red, which is what happens in just every format. So, yeah. I mean, we have a chance. We have 5 more turns, but this deck does not play off the top very well. We've got to have like an Aurid up threat to protect, and that's just the game plan. There's a Sun Sentinel. Do you have the Shock? They didn't have the Shock. That's pretty cool. We yet again have a very slight chance now. Alright, well, we're at 1. 1 is not 0. We could draw a life-linking blocker. Oh, we did. 1 is not 0, guys. We're doing 4 to them. They'll die in 3 more hits from the Sun Sentinel. Got a lot of blockers. Alright, well... I mean, one is sometimes 0 against a red deck. Well, thank you all for watching. Kind of unfortunate that the deck just did not work at all. But I'm really not much of a constructed player. I'm not good at just like figuring out what's going to be a good deck in different constructed formats. So especially a new format, at least a new format to me, like Standard Pauper, just does not work out so hot sometimes. So thank you all for watching though, and 2 rares off of the event rewards is definitely nice. Unfortunately, they're both pretty bad. Profane Procession is definitely better, but it has not seen any play in Standard yet, and it does not have that much longer to succeed on that. Goring Ceratops is just really bad in Standard, but yeah, I mean, thank you all for watching. I definitely tried. I tried to build some kind of deck, and it just did not really work. I didn't want to just build Mono Red, because Mono Red is such a basic, simple strategy to build for any format. It's just like throw your haste creatures and your burn spells in, so I was like, I don't know what to do. And then I'd been drafting a lot of Rivals of Ixalan, so I had the white-blue aura kind of decks on my mind, because that's a pretty good draft archetype in Rivals of Ixalan, but yeah, would not recommend it for the Standard Pauper. But I will see you all again very soon for some more Magic Arena. Thank you for watching. Hope you had a good time, and I'll see you next time.